Hey there, my name is Gil Dezer, and you're watching Hustle Inspires Hustle. And you said we did a handful of Trump Towers. Handful is 5. We did 6 Trump Towers. We're doing the Hillsborough project, Rosewood and Hillsborough.
The Porsche Tower.
The Porsche Tower, Armani, and now, of course, Bentley.
Miami real estate developer
Gil Dezer,
a successful businessman, is outdoing even himself.
Welcome, Gil, to the podcast. You spend a lot of time thinking time.
Of course. You know, I looked out the window and I saw a crane. And I saw the crane was pivoting on this round crane thing. So I went online and I started Googling automated parking, and I found systems that actually take the car without having to drive it. We found this dolly system that will pull the car into the elevator, goes up the elevator and pushes you back out in your garage. Boom, that's how we put it in. One of the things I am known for in this town is the quality of what we do. I'm not one of those developers where 10 years later they're suing us or anything like that for broken stuff. So that's why we research these. We had to research, how do you put a swimming pool on a balcony without crashing the building down? I mean, that's what actually one of the newspapers wrote about us, about this Spot English. He said it's the only restaurant in America that costs you $6 million to get a reservation. So.
What's going on, y'all? This is Alex Quin, Miami's marketer, and today we're on Hustle Inspires Hustle podcast with Gil Dezer. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give you an intro. We're gonna rapid fire through this so everybody knows a little bit about who you are, and we'll dive right in.
Okay.
Gil was born in New York and later moved to Miami. He fell in love with the city during his time at the University of Miami. He was mentored by his father, Michael Dezer, a real estate titan. Some of Gil's accomplishments as a real estate developer, as a marketing expert, master of strategic partnerships, and inventor. His real estate journey began here in Sunny Isles, Florida.
That's right.
With your father's hotel back in the day when you were in UM. You started the Ocean Grand project in 1999 with your father, later transitioning it to the Trump Grand in 2001.
That's right.
You have a handful of successful projects in real estate ventures with Donald Trump. Following the 2008 financial crash, you paid $475 million in debt. Pretty interesting, pretty impressive. You invented the groundbreaking Dezervator during that crisis. You're known for creating luxury residences such as Trump Towers, Bentley Residences, Baccarat. Okay, what else?
We're doing the Hillsborough project, Rosewood and Hillsborough.
the Porsche Tower.
The Porsche Tower, Armani, and now, of course, Bentley.
Welcome, Gil, to the podcast.
And you said we did a handful of Trump Towers. Handful is 5. We did 6 Trump Towers.
Excuse me.
So it was more
all Sunny Isles?
All here in Sunny Isles, that's right.
Wow.
Yes.
How was that?
It was great. I mean, it was great. It was 2001. You know, 2001 to 2007 was, you couldn't do anything wrong at that time. You know, and we were selling. We sold literally 6 buildings in that time. A total of almost 2,000 apartments, over $2.5 billion just in that period of time. And it was great until the market fell apart.
Let me ask you something, man. Such a beautiful strip of land, right. Sunny Isles,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've completely transformed it, by the way. So my respects.
Thank you.
How did nobody see it? What did you see in it that nobody saw, and how have you transformed it into what it is right now?
I think that, you know, people, when you drive by the same properties every day on the way to work, you just don't see it. You know, you see it every day. It becomes part of your routine. The properties here in Sunny Isles it was part of unincorporated Dade County. So what that meant was to get a policeman over here or to get any assistance took forever because there was no local authorities here. Mm-hmm. So what of course happened was these motels turned into bad places to be, full of prostitution and drugs and all kinds of bad stuff over there. Mm-hmm. That was before the days of the internet. So people would physically go to these places and to buy drugs and find prostitutes, etc. And there was no police. And so it went to disrepair. The whole city of Sunny Isles on the ocean front was pretty much a bad place to be, pretty seedy. We were New Yorkers, you know. We fly in, coming over the plane, and we see, well, okay, you have Sunny Isles here. You have Bal Harbor to the south, which was already, you know, a well-known neighborhood with Bal Harbor malls and shop. You had Aventura to the west, where they had the Aventura Mall and all these great properties like Williams Island and The Point and Mystic Point and Turnberry and all these great developments over there. And then you had Golden Beach to the north, which was, you know, multi-million-dollar homes right on the ocean. So it didn't take a genius to figure out this is going to be an actual infill of the area once they get themselves organized. And so we were part of creating the city of Sunny Isles Beach. And we were part of the first charter where they had the concerned citizens of Sunny Isles Beach and Dave Sampson, who later on became the mayor. And once it became its own city, well, of course, the city needs to now raise money for the taxes. So They allowed build as high as you want. They were very smart about creating the buildings to be skinny, so you have view corridors in between, so you don't have that concrete canyon that you feel in the 50s on Collins Avenue.
Yeah.
So they created a zoning code for the building, for the city rather, that allowed us to do these great buildings. And all of our buildings we fit within the code. We're all as of right, but the code was good enough that allowed us to have great architecture and great spacing and amazing buildings.
One thing I really look up to a lot about you is that, first of all, you allowed yourself to be mentored, right, by your father.
Wow.
You understood your father and your family were successful, but you wanted to make your own legacy, your own money. And your father took you under his wing during your college days. There were I remember seeing an interview of yours where you guys were in a partnership for a building, and there was an opportunity for your father to buy out the partners, and you were in that meeting. It was maybe it was like one of your first big deals, big meetings, and maybe a little nerve-wracking for you. How was that?
I was 25 years old. I'd never built anything. I didn't know how to. We first started the Ocean Grand project, like I said, in '99, before Trump got involved in that same project. And we had partners there, and my father got into an argument with them. And he said, well, if you don't like my ideas and you don't want, I'll buy you out, because we were the ones who had the land. So he made him an offer right there after an argument to buy them out, and they accepted. And I walked out of the meeting a little bit shaken, not knowing, 25 years old, and hey, I've never built anything, but I know this is going to fall on my lap. And that was the first time I had a cigarette in front of my father.
Shaking hands.
I was like, Dad, do you know what just happened? He goes, and what my father said to me, which I'll never forget my entire life. He said to me, you're smarter than all those guys in the room put together. You'll figure it out. So my father always had a lot of confidence in me, which was very good. When your father tries to, as a 25-year-old guy pushing you up like that, I mean, that's, I think, what really helped us get to where we are today. He gave the confidence of the family of what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, you know what I think that instilled in you is that you don't take no for an answer, and you always figure out a way to do things, do them the right way, like the Dezervator. Right. Okay, during the 2008 financial crisis, you went through the mission. You had time to work on stuff. You wanted to create something revolutionary. I guess the fire department gave you a run for your money. You pretty much had to come up with a million ways to make sure you're up to code and that you didn't have any issues. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a battle. I had the tendency to oversimplify the concept. Well, here's where it really came from. We have a building in New York City that we own, which is now Manhattan Motor Cars. Mm-hmm. And that building is a car dealership. And so in New York City, everything's vertical. And and it's a 5-story building, and they store cars on the 4th and 5th floors. And there's a car elevator that the guy drives in, sticks his hand out the window, presses 4 on the button. It goes up, opens the door, and he drives right out. Okay, hey, it happens in New York. We can do it. There was a condo in New York, 270 11th Avenue. They only did 11 units, so 11 floors, but also same concept, drive in, drive out. So I said, hey, I want to do that. Drive in, drive out. Until I went to the fire department, and they said, no way. No way are we going to allow you to start a car in the middle of the building, or start a car in the elevator, because there's gases, there's this, there could be. He said every time, and they're not wrong. They said every time you start a car, there's an inherent risk of explosion. Mm-hmm. Which, what is a motor? It's an 8-cylinder motor. There's little explosions going on in the cylinders. So there's an inherent risk of explosion. If there's gas, if there's carbon monoxide, you don't want people starting cars up there. And so we understood it, and we're not going to try and fight them or change their mind. So I went online, and I started Googling automated parking, and I found systems that actually take the car without having to drive it. And so we found this dolly system that will pull the car into the elevator, goes up the elevator, and pushes you back out in your garage. Never starting the car, car's in park. And that allowed the passenger to stay in the car while it happens. So in our Dezervator system, you never start the car. You drive it onto the platform, you shut it off, and that's it, you're done. You send your last text messages, we have full signal in the shaft, and it takes you 45 seconds to a minute to get home.
And to be clear, this is the only building in the world that brings a car up that high.
Yeah, or that high with a passenger inside. We've seen other buildings with an interior garage. We've seen other buildings where they put it on a balcony. They have one in Singapore, I believe. Mm-hmm. But the car goes on a balcony. You have to go in a second elevator. You don't go inside the car. It was gimmicky, right? If you left your cell phone in the car, you'd have to leave the apartment, go downstairs, call the car to come back downstairs to grab your cell phone. Meaning the car's out on your balcony, but you can't access it.
So for the ultra wealthy that value privacy, this is perfect because let's say you're getting home, you don't have to get off at a parking garage, at a parking lot, we'll go through the lobby, you drive right into the Dezervator, goes up to your apartment, right into your unit.
We tried explaining this to people pre-construction and people just didn't get it until we opened the doors of the building, and now you know who's living in that building.
Anuel, Messi, Maluma. Come on, bro.
I mean, Alicia Keys, Birdman, the producer. I don't even. My girls know all the names. There's about 20 different celebrities in there that I don't even know who they are. My kids know who they are. They all want pictures. But why are they living there? Because there's no valet. Hey, there's nobody asking for an autograph. You come and go from your apartment the way you would from a single family home. And that's where the whole Dezervator concept really changes the way people come home. Your car is your key to your apartment. You don't need to carry keys anymore. You just go in, they take you right to your unit, and then boom, you're 2 steps from your front door.
I love the legacy that you're building with that, especially with your family last name, which means a lot. It's really cool how when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. In such a trying time, you owed money, all these things were happening. Yeah. You invented this thing, you researched, you found experts to help you, you patented the idea. It's yours now.
That's right.
You spend a lot of time thinking? Like, do you have thinking time?
Of course.
Yeah.
Every day after work,
I do about 15, 20 minutes of thinking time a day, and it's revolutionary.
Mine's hours. I'll sit there and I'll play a game on the computer, and my head goes crazy.
I love it. Yeah. So listen, your father's hotel in Sunny Isles played a significant role in your career. Tell us more about the moment you realized the potential of Sunny Isles for real estate development, and how you convinced your father to buy into the vision once he came down from New York.
Well, it wasn't exactly me convincing him. My father, there was a gentleman here who owned a lot of property on the west side, and he was the one who told us that the city's about to incorporate.
Okay.
And that's where it was. We knew that the city was about to incorporate, that they were going to push the zoning codes, and so my father and I went around and we bought as many hotels as we could. But my father was the one. He heard the news. He sat down and he said, "Hey, I have a great idea. Let's go crazy here, and let's go buy." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And so together I was still finishing college, so he was the one who was running around. And I think by the time I finished college, we bought 2 hotels. But then the following year, once I finished college, we bought another like 8 or 9 hotels. Yeah. And these hotels were not expensive, in relative to today.
Yeah.
We were buying. I remember one of the hotels we paid $4 million. and on the $4 million, we paid $2 million cash, and we got a $2 million seller financing.
Beautiful.
And that land today is probably worth about $250 million. So, and of course the seller financing is paid off at this point. But but that's what happened. I mean, the world went crazy. And this is also talking 25 years ago. 97.
97, yeah.
26 years ago. So it was a while ago. But we came in. We put our money where our mouth is, and bought up as much as we could. And we still own today about 6 sites undeveloped yet in Sunny Isles. That so we have a future. I have a future for the next 25 years here.
I love that.
Yeah.
How did your partnership with Donald Trump on projects like the Trump Grand change your perspective on branding and real estate collaborations?
Trump taught me what branding was about. I was a marketing student at UNM, and I didn't really understand, and I also didn't understand the power of Trump. The guy he's powerful. His brand is powerful. He's a powerful guy, and it resonates with people, and it put Sunny Isles on the map. Sunny Isles was a sleepy little town. It just incorporated. Nobody really knew about it. Nobody really heard about it. But then when Trump landed here and we did the first Trump project, now all of a sudden it got a lot of attention. Other developers around the country and around the world were trying to buy properties there, which actually helped push up values. And it caused a problem for us because we were continuing to buy. We bought properties, like I said, we started at that $4 million. The last one we paid, I believe, when I did the Armani Casa, we paid $140 million for a very similar sized property ourselves. So that's where these things come down to.
In one lifetime.
Yeah, in one lifetime. Right.
Not
So we up the market, but then we also are paying the market to the outside. So working with Trump taught me what branding was about. It taught me the power of creating a brand versus borrowing a brand, if you will.
Yeah. Strategic partnerships.
Licensing.
Some call it authority hijacking, which is a great way of growing, using other people's influence, collaborating
if
together.
They're willing to be hijacked, then that's good. Let's go. I mean, it works like that, and everybody does it today in a subliminal way, by cloud chasing and whatnot. But here I am. I had a guy who said, "Hey, I'll put what does Trump have as far as, at that time, what did he have as far as a brand? He had a brand of his buildings.
Yeah.
Best locations, best finishes, best everything. So by putting, that was the only brand.
So he had buildings prior.
Trump?
He had buildings prior.
Yeah, he had 57th and 5th Avenue. He had the Trump Towers.
Trump Tower.
I mean, all these, he has 40 Wall Street, all these amazing buildings that were Trump buildings, well known around the world. The Trump International on the Circle, Columbus Circle over there, a great hotel. So he established himself as a premier developer in New York City over the 80s, 90s, and all the way up. And then the Apprentice show started. Mm-hmm. And so he went from this, he still owned hotels, golf courses, etc. And the Apprentice show started, and that was also at the same time we were marketing. So it was just a great connection, and I had a free 1 hour television ad every Wednesday night. It was great.
And I'm guessing the phones were going crazy
at
that time.
Everybody loved Trump. Everybody wanted to be part of Trump, and so they all wanted to buy in his buildings. It was fantastic.
Right on the beach.
Yeah. It worked. We sold out record.
Okay, so in 2007, right before the craziness of the 2008 crash, you made a deal with Porsche to begin a tower, what is now the Porsche Tower in Sunny Isles Beach. But the crash delayed it, okay? How did you handle those challenges during that time?
We signed the contract, we started designing buildings, and then the whole thing happened. At the time that it happened, when the crash happened, I had 4 buildings that were just being completed, all sold out, and then of course nobody closed. It was a disaster. 2008 was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. And so we were able, I learned a lot those times. I learned that the sun comes up tomorrow, and just be around tomorrow for the next day. But we had a frank conversation with Porsche. We said, listen, we signed a deal with you. We want to honor the deal, but if we started a project today, we won't sell it, and we're all going to have egg on our face. Yeah. And that's exactly what you don't want. And they agreed, of course. The whole world was going through this, so they saw what was happening. So we said, let's put a stay on the contract. Let's delay the contract until a better time. And in the meantime, it got us to, we started to think outside the box. I said, I had about 1,100 units that people were supposed to close, and they didn't. And I had to resell those units. Everybody thought we had 10 years of inventory. We're going to be sitting here for the rest of our lives selling these apartments. And fortunately enough, we buckled down. And the real story is we had great product in a great location, Trump branded, on the ocean. So we went after the markets that were coming. And at that time, Brazil, the real was strong against the dollar, and the Brazilians came and they literally saved our ass.
Latin Americans ate it up. Yeah.
They ate up. We sold these 1,100 units in 2 years. We had to reduce the prices. We got down to about $500 a square foot. So those people who bought, they made a ton of money by now. Yeah. Which I applaud them. They bought it at a tough time. They took a big risk.
They believed in your vision too.
They believed in us, and so I applaud them for it. God bless, they made money. But that's what happened. But the good news is, in 2011, by the end of 2011, I was able to pay off $475 million in loans to all the different various banks, and I was the only guy who did that in this crisis. Everybody else gave a building back. I had what they called the deed in the box, which was the bank was ready to foreclose, or they did foreclose. So we didn't have that situation. We had a long-term payout. We had a situation of how we were going to pay out, and we behaved and we did it. And so that for us allowed us to say, oh, okay, now it's time to start Porsche. But at the same time, I just sold units for $500 a square foot a month ago. How am I going to go sell a unit now at $1,000 a foot? Right? It has to be something so different, because that was the new construction costs were coming in. Yeah. Everything, there was a pop of inflation when that whole thing happened. Everything came back at more expensive. So we started looking at, how do we charge $1,000 a foot for something we just sold $500? I said, well, we can't sell the same thing, right? Yeah. We got to change it up completely. So we really took the time we put swimming pools on the balcony, nobody's ever done before, on every single unit.
On every unit.
And
you brought those from Italy, right? Or something crazy?
Yeah. We had to research, how do you put a swimming pool on a balcony without crashing the building down? I mean, no, it's everything we did. And not just that, one of the things I am known for in this town is the quality of what we do. I'm not one of those developers where 10 years later they're suing us or anything like that for broken stuff, right? And so that's why we research these things. We actually go down, we make sure, on those pools at Porsche, I have a 25-year guarantee from the manufacturer. And the pools today, the building was 17, so we're 6 years old. It's like they're brand new still, So, but nobody else has done it. And when nobody else does something, you start asking yourself, hey, why? How come nobody else did it? What makes me so? But then if you say, I can do it and mitigate risk and do it properly, do it. And so that's what we did. That's how we figured out the elevator, you know. The elevator, like I said, I oversimplified it, but it's an elevator. It goes up and down, you know. And they've been doing this for 100 years already, making an elevator up. Let's just make this one go up and down. Figure it out, you know.
No, but it was you who figured it out.
Well, we sat there and we, you know, figured out that the most interesting part of the elevator was the elevator twists, right? Because the cars ray out and go to different things. And so
the platform spins?
Yeah, the platform spins. So we're sitting there in a room one day. They said, well, what's strong enough to make the platform spin? What can we use to put on there? And they didn't know how, and should we do it geared or not geared? And I'm saying to myself, you know, I looked out the window and I saw a crane. And I saw the crane was pivoting on this round crane thing. I said, what's wrong with that? Use that thing. Boom, that's how we put it in. You know, so different, but everything exists already. You just need to adapt it, modify it, and so that's what we did.
You know, I guess your lesson of patience during 2007, because here you are coming after so many years of doing so many incredible things, right? And then you finally get this incredible opportunity nobody's ever done before with Porsche. And then the frickin' 2008 crisis happens. So then you pivot. Right. But the patience that you must have in a situation like that, when you have a deal like that, maybe somebody else would have been like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. But you said, no, let's wait. Let's find the right time and let's do it correctly. And in that time, you created the Dezervator, which was a great move on your end.
Yeah, but we also had a shit ton of units on our hands, and we had to finish one thing before you start the other. Yeah. You know, I'm that guy. I finish one thing good before I start the other. Because if you do too many things, you can't do anything right. Yeah. You know, so I'm not the biggest developer in town. I don't want to be. I could be. I could be building all these buildings in one shot, but I don't want to. Yeah. I do one at a time, but I do them right. Yeah. You know?
So are there any specific digital marketing techniques or technologies that have proven especially effective in marketing luxury properties for you?
I can't exactly speak to that. We have a company who's doing digital stuff for us.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you do use digital marketing?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, cool. And you're big on press as well. You're active in the media.
Yes, but there's this company that a lead can come in and they'll know exactly who the guy is, how much money he makes, and before we even start talking to the guy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we have.
So you have a robust vetting process.
Yes, I don't know exactly. My sales director handles it.
It's okay.
But he explained to me a little bit how it works, and I was like, okay. If you can find people, find people.
I love the answer. I'm happy to hear you have a team in place for that.
Yeah,
and that not a lot of people look at that. Right. Okay. So that's important that you pay attention to that.
It's generating a tremendous amount of leads.
Yeah.
Which convert. So they're good.
Okay. So your strategy of managing properties like hotels is intriguing. How does this approach enhance the quality of life for residents and set your developments apart from anybody else doing?
Great question that nobody's ever really asked. We have to explain it out to people. One of the things I do in all my condos is a restaurant in the building. And that's the major thing that Miami doesn't have, a management company that knows how to manage a building and a restaurant and a food and beverage service and etc. Usually the management company, they know how to charge the maintenance, they create the budgets, they make sure that the security and the valets show up on time, and that's about it, right? Ours, we hire hotel managers to come in and manage the situation. So they understand the whole food and beverage process. They understand how to read the P&L statements. They understand how the ordering process goes, because it's a whole separate business within the business. And then of course, they understand the guest experience. So we train our towel guys at the pool how to interact with our people. We train our waiters, of course, how to interact. Security, the security protocols on how to talk to owners and stuff like that. And so there's training that, because I run my hotels, to run a condo is easy. It's an offshoot. I already have the training in place. I have the HR department in place. I have everything in place. And then just to add on to these buildings, it's extremely easy for us, and it works very well. That's why we're able to manage our buildings, and we really manage a building better than anybody else. You feel like you're in a hotel without transient guests. Yeah. That's it. And you know everybody in the place.
You brought in a Michelin Star Chef. Was it for this Bentley project?
That's for Bentley, correct.
Has that happened in Miami or in the country at all?
No.
Are you the first?
There's other people who bring in restaurants, but those restaurants are open to the public. So
also this one isn't.
It's not open to the public. To me, luxury is privacy, And so really is to be able to have that guy downstairs as your own private building chef and be able to order room service of Todd English up into your apartment. I mean, that's what luxury is about. We're not just pretending or making a brochure. We're actually making it happen. And everybody can write a brochure about great cuisine in the building, but that's up to who's going to be making it for you. If it's the guy from the Cuban cafeteria down the street, it's going to be one thing, but if it's Todd English, it's a whole different thing.
thing is, you understand your niche. Like you said, you could be building this whole strip.
Yeah.
You focus on your niche, on who you serve.
Right.
You understand the demographic because you yourself are that demographic.
That's
so
it.
you could speak to what they need and what's important to them, which not a lot of people who may be in the business may understand that or see it from that point of view.
I mean, my philosophy is if I won't live in the building, I can't sell it.
Right.
And I'm not a snooty guy, but I do have good standards, high standards. And that's why, did you see what we did in the bathroom here at Bentley? Did you notice what we did there? Never been done before in Miami. I have a sauna in every single bathroom. Yeah. I have the TV behind the mirror like you would find in every nice Vegas hotel. I have a towel warming drawer, okay? Floor heating. Why would you heat floors in Florida? Well, because the air conditioning is cold and it makes the marble floors cold. Everybody said, well, who needs heated floors in Florida? If you live here and you walk out of the shower and your feet are cold, you need a heated floor.
Sucks.
Right, it does suck, doesn't it? So that's only people who actually have lived here and know the experience, you know? And so I live in my own buildings. So we did heated floor, I did a shower, and I did an outdoor shower. You saw the outdoor shower, right? First of its kind in Miami, on every single unit. So why do we have to go to Maldives to enjoy these beautiful things when we live here in one of the most beautiful places in the world? Yeah. So that's why we've said if you see it in the best hotels in the world, it should be in your own house.
Yeah. So you're leading the charge in a lot of this. You're pioneering a lot of this. You're a great inventor. Developers worldwide have adopted your concept of luxury brands, collaborating on distinctive real estate marvels. What makes your approach stand out and appeal to the ultra wealthy that people are running to your projects?
I think it's the details.
Yeah.
I think we are so into the details. I mean, from, Bentley automobile cars has where everything you touch on the car has this Bentley knurling diamonding texture to it. Mm-hmm. We put that on everything from our door handles to our shower handles. We brought the car into the building, the real details. There's other car branded buildings, you don't need to mention their names, everybody knows who they are, that they really just kind of slap their name on the building. The design of the building has nothing to do with the car. The units have nothing to do with the car. And they just kind of slap their name on a building, which is something we really adamantly don't want to do. We don't want to make it like cheap and cheesy like that. So if you look at what we've done, just the exterior of this building, right? The diamonding of the exterior of this building is the same as the diamonding on the sofas and everything else you see here. Mm. That's the Bentley diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And so we went as far as creating faceted glass. Again,
you spent like $7 million on this.
Extra, just extra. Yeah. $7 million extra on top of what it would normally cost about $25 million. It's costing me $32 million.
For your sales center only?
No, for the building. The $7 million is extra for the building. The sales center, the wholesale center cost us like $9 million to build this thing.
Wow.
Yes, sir. But we're selling $1.2 billion project.
Yeah, so, and they're coming in, you're showing them pictures. It's not built hard.
I don't, other developers show a kitchen and a bathroom. I think or some pictures of what it's going to be. They're afraid of what their building looks like. They want to create a dream for people. I'm not afraid to show the reality. Yeah. I actually build a model so you can feel what it's like to be inside the units and everything else, and also manage your own expectations of what you're going to be getting when you actually move in.
How many buildings have you built?
Ooh, I think 12 or 14. We tried to count yesterday and we lost count.
Okay. That's a great problem to have.
Yes, right. Yes. 12 and up. It's not hundreds. It's under 15.
Quality for quantity. How do you maintain a balance between providing exclusivity and privacy for residents while also attracting media attention for your projects?
Well, once the building is open, if you notice, it's almost impossible to get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, even at the Porsche Design Tower, we had Real Housewives of Miami, and we had to not allow them to film in the common areas. What they did inside the apartment, there was up to them, and we can't stop that. It's your home. But because we have celebrities, billionaires walking around the lobby. And you can't have the cameras. Can't have that. No. Can't have that. So the press gets to see everything. That was when we had our opening party. I said I want everybody to come see it because after tonight they'll never be able to walk in here again.
Yeah. Was that the thing with Pitbull?
That was Armani was with Pitbull.
Okay.
Alicia Keys sang at Porsche.
Yeah.
Yes. So and that's why we wanted to invite everybody in because at least let them experience it one time, even though there's 1,000 people there. It's not the same as experiencing it by yourself, but let them see it because I know once we close the doors, it's Fort Knox and you can't get in. And that's what actually one of the newspapers wrote about us about this Todd English. He said it's the only restaurant in America that costs you $6 million to get a reservation. So that's where we are.
You're working on a lot of incredible things, and I think it's always good to sit down, recap, be proud of everything that you're doing. To finish off, I want to ask you one very important question. How do you want to be remembered, Gil?
Oof. That's an impossible question. How do I want to be remembered? I never thought about it. I don't know. As long as people like me, I'm good with it. I don't know. I'm assuming I've left my mark on the world. I did. That I've realized. I've left my mark on the world. I upped the ante in a world that's not so important, right? It's luxury real estate, right? This is not necessary stuff. It's not, it's not like I'm creating housing for homeless or doing good. I'm creating beautiful places for super rich people to live. So am I helping the world? No, not really. I mean, but we're leaving our mark with some great buildings that will hopefully inspire people going forward, and it's working.
There you go, guys. You heard it.
Yeah.
This is Alex Quin. We're at Bentley Residences right now with Gil Dezer. Hustle Inspires Hustle podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode.